things that are presented today before you have been designed with the thought that our wounded veterans that have returned home and are in the process of recovering their lives.
I'm Ty Hodge, Community Affairs Manager with the Home Depot Foundation. The Home Depot Foundation last April announced a 3-year, $30 million pledge to improving the homes and lives of veterans. We actually want to make sure that every veteran in this country has a safe place to call home. So the bulk of my work and the mission of the foundation is really to partner with great organizations that are doing amazing things to really address the housing issues facing veterans throughout the country.
And I'm excited today because I first developed an interest in architecture in high school and found that it was a seed which I let grow for many years and eventually went back to school for architecture. And it's kind of that core interest when you're a certain age that brings you the energy to go after a career.
I'm Eric Lepbetter. I'm a native Atlantan. I work for Niles Bolton Associates. Took an interest in high school for architecture and drafting, and I actually skipped driver's ed so I could take my architecture class, and I think that's paid off pretty well for me so far.
My name is Brian Bell. I'm also an architect here in town and partners with David in our firm Buildings.
I'm Helen Hatch, and I'm an architect with Thompson, Vincent, Steinbach, TVS Design.
My name is Margaret Barnett, and I actually grew up across the street at Stevenson Wilkinson.
I'm Nathan Koskis. I'm a principal with Studio AIA Architects.
Hi, I'm Lisette Robinson. I am an architect and interior designer.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mildrina Chapin. I teach at the Savannah College of Art and Design in the Interior Design program.
So North Decatur Road is the next, sort of the next one. And again, this is all, that's actually not, that's actually not.
The student is pushy and then talks about healing environment, universal design, sort of pointing at
The way you cut that out, it looks like it's the whole building.
We might want to make two.
Site plan looks like in terms of positive.
Much too
And you can see their attitude about how.
And you go down over this hallway, into this hallway. I mean, space planning.
This is not an international competition.
Oh, gosh.
When you first start the whole thing, it seems like it would be hard to.
Glass, interior walls, and art formation. It's just a great design, and if it were to be built, we would love to follow.
Go together with the plan to create a building that's
I just think that how you present your material is as important as the design itself. And so this is an example of where you can use two boards and get all the information across.
And something else, just little details like the continuity of the black frame around it. I mean, whether people think that or not, that's what makes this look so great, is the fact that it's tied together just on the flat surface as well without even the written information on there, which helps your eye understand what we're talking about.
I think it's important to point out that craft is also, something that we're going to be looking for. And there's this like a real need for a change in X-Acto blade here to keep this nice and clean and
That happened at midnight last night.
I think what's interesting about this project and some of the others is just how far outside the box some of these ideas are that you would never see in that kind of energy. And this is kind of it's creating this kind of amazing layering pattern of the roof over the plan in a very creative way.
Yeah, but this project is, they've landed on the idea that water and the presence of water will be important to the healing process. And so they've found a way to introduce the idea and the fluidity of water into geometry of the roof and to break down a very boxy building. And they've done it in a very animated, joyful way.
What I really like about this project is the fact, they had this concept of waves, this sort of great idea, but that they didn't let that sort of overpower the rest of the project. It's still functional, has great outdoor spaces, creates a comfortable environment, lots of community or communal aspects of the project. So even though obviously that concept of waves was there, you know, that didn't detract from some of the other objectives.
We've seen a lot of really interesting projects during this hurried rush morning, but we brought a couple that we thought were really intriguing. This project was highly successful because it shows us a lot of process work, and it mixes hand rendering, which gives a very home residential comfort feel, with also computer-aided drawings.
I think some of the other things were the use of the background, at least the style of presentation, and you can sort of grab the other boards and see how they sort of, just in terms of a presentation style, there's at least a background. It's not just a whiteboard, but it at least gave thought to what the background.
The thing I really love about this project.
Tell us what you like about the project.
Well, first
Don't
of all,
hold back.
I'm not holding back. This project is one of the first to take the typical approach we see, which is a box or a series of long extruded bars, and it says we're going to take a curvilinear approach to the relationship between the street, the building, and the lake. So you've got this very active exterior form which juts out a bit to the lake. It also accepts some pathways and it integrates the exterior and interior. And what results is this lower activity room, which then has an upper floor overlooking it. So one of the primary goals of this project is to induce and support a sense of community. And so this project is really doing a successful job at that.
Very strong floor plan.
One thing that's quite interesting here, the degree that the panels, as a background to the project, have a sense of fluttering, flame-like quality to them.
It's another project in and of itself.
That's right.
It's kind of neat to see this kind of sketch and simple idea of a building with a flame shape on top, the way it evolves through the building in the later renderings. It's a much more abstract form, but you still kind of get that idea of a platform or like the torch holding up this other thing on the top, and then you can see in the rendering there's that little bed, Brian pointed this out earlier, where this idea of this, well, I guess patterns that would be flame-like or curling starts to play in at a really small scale too.
You know, I was very impressed with these young people and how thorough they were and what their computer experience was. And I thought that was very interesting. And a lot of them, to me, took the program, had shown in the floor plans, and I would say were very competent. And I think that there's somewhat of a hesitancy on the part of some of the students to think a little bit more outside of the box and be a little bit more creative about what the building looks like and where it's going and how it really fits into the surroundings. So I look forward to seeing a little bit more of that in the future submittals.
I agree. So then we'll just start here.
Anya said she knows you guys from Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, I could not.
You know, I know why,
With this project.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I could support and talk about each of these three.
We'll start with the torch here, which is actually, the project is actually, I think it started life as this sketch, which is sort of a takeoff on the Statue of Liberty torch, the symbol for liberty. But then they kind of developed it through kind of looking at plans to create this stacked plan with this kind of abstract roof garden sculpture on it, which is...
So I think sticking with the theme of really applauding creativity, we've got here the Phoenix, which is sort of a very ambitious, grand idea. They even describe it as sort of a large, resilient structure that really, for them, sort of embodies what a veteran is.
This project, the Elite Protector Sanctuary, is developed as a bar building, but it's broken through with this glass entry lobby and element that is kind of at the knuckle. And one thing that we really appreciated about the development of this project was how the roofs start stepping down towards the towards the pond.
There are two things going on in this project. One is it's very strong massing and a very clear plan. But the clip out, I think, is actually a disadvantage. Because if you look at other projects, you see that they've actually taken the time to render what these spaces look like. Here's a little rendering of a room. Here's a rendering of the view. And I think whether or not this is the best project or not, or whether it gets an award, I'm trying to make a larger point that I'm in favor of the projects that go to the effort of rendering and drawing their ideas, more so than those that just put pictures in for reference.
I like the fact that it separates the public and the private. I like the fact that it expresses what's happening between the different elements with this glass structure, which is transparent, which sees through to the lake, which I think is very important.
The floor plan the roof plan is somewhat sophisticated in the fact that you can see the floor below through the skylights. And you can tell there was a great amount of joy in creating that drawing. It's a beautiful drawing. Kind of dissolving the rigid architecture with the idea of the waves and the water. And they talk about in the description about the role of water in the therapeutic aspects of that.
In our projects, we had some that had some really strong creativity, and we wanted to make sure that we showed those to the group. We had two projects here that this one explores its concept really fully. Some of our committee members debated on whether or not flame was appropriate for this type of project, but we really, really thought that it was extremely interesting about that we got all of this process work. We're thinking about it two-dimensionally, we're thinking about it three-dimensionally. It develops into this really unique and innovative floor plan, starts to move into some really great three-dimensional spaces.
You can see the struggle there in the early sketches, trying to figure out how these two forms come together.
This particular drawing as well, they've kind of made it 3D. They've pulled it off the board so that you get the sense of the building.
Why don't we talk about the AIA Veterans Housing first? All right, this one we thought was interesting again, and someone else has already commented on the fact that that the program was broken up into parts so that you can have you can see the individual spaces based on the usage.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think the elevations in this are pretty sophisticated compared to a lot of them. There's this layering and shifting of window heights. As I said earlier, the discussion part, the balance between the privacy of the soldiers and the actual communal power, which is essential to this program, really held strongly in this project. And I also think the way it's been planned, although there might be some problems with how the bathroom size is or the relationship to the interstitial spaces, those are all things that you can shift around in a later iteration that's not going to kill the overall power of the design. They're going to be really minor shifts without having to change the entire partie. I think it'd be very convincing as a built project as it stands now, though.
So I am a huge fan of waves. I think, again, it's just a great idea that I think was really well executed.
I think it's great to have an initial idea. At a certain point, the metaphor needs to drop away, and it becomes the design.
Yeah.
If you compare waves with something like AIA Veterans Housing, there's no concept that's hitting us over the head. There's a design that's resolved to a certain degree.
They've done something that the other projects haven't, which was pointed out earlier, which is to address the entry. The entry is clear. It's well done. It's inviting.
Well, this one I think is very pretty sophisticated, and I really like the fact that it changes the fenestration from between the public space and the guest rooms, and it's very clear.
Basic partie is really strong, and as I said earlier, it's robust. Like it's an idea that's going to stand up to a lot of intense investigation and criticism. That you can move a lot of parts around. It's still the same idea and the same concept. It's really well planned out that way.